Sultanate. He ruled from the AD 1206 to AD 1526. Muslim rule started in India by Muhammad Ghori in the AD 12th century. This Muhammad Ghori was helped by his general known as Qutbuddin Aibak. And with the accession of Qutbuddin Aibak to the throne of Delhi, then begins the history of Delhi Sultanate in India. So how did the name Delhi Sultanate come? So rulers during this period, they used to call themselves as sultans. So that is the reason their rule is known as Delhi Sultanate rule. This is the image of Muhammad Ghori. So he was the first to start the Muslim rule in India in the AD 12th century. So during the northern India and during the ruling of Delhi Sultan period, there were 5 successive dynasties. In the North India, during the ruling period of Delhi Sultans, there were 5 successive dynasties. The name of these 5 successive dynasties are Slave Dynasty, Khaljis, Tughlaqs, Sayyids and Lodhis. So Slave Dynasty and Khalij were from 12th century AD and Tughlaqs ruled in the 13th century AD and Sayyids in the 14th and Lodhis up to 15th century AD. Let's study in detail about these 5 successive dynasties in the northern Indian period. Let's study about these 5 successive dynasties which ruled in the northern India. The first one is Slave Dynasty. So the Turkish rulers, they depended on slaves. Slaves means they are like servants only, but they should listen to their ruler. Whatever their owner or ruler says, they have to obey that and do that work. So the Turkish rulers, they had slaves or servants who were trained to excel both in military activities as well as intellectual spheres. So this dynasty, the Slave Dynasty, was established by a ruler Aibak and it was known as Slave Dynasty, and the rulers were known as Mamluk Sultans of Delhi. So who was Qutbuddin Aibak? Let's study. Qutbuddin Aibak ruled from 1206 AD to 1210 AD. He was originally a slave and a native of Turkestan. But how did he become a ruler from a slave? He rose to become the trusted general of Muhammad Ghori. So much they used to trust him that he was given the general position by the king Muhammad Ghori. And then this Qutbuddin Aibak, he was the prime important member behind this Muhammad Ghori's victory in the second battle of Tarain. So in the war of Tarain, he was the important person behind the Muhammad Ghori's victory. And then he captured Kannauj, Bihar and Bengal states. And also Qutbuddin Aibak became the first Sultan of Delhi. He was interested in art and literature. He got a title of Lag Baksh, or the giver of lags. He also built 2 mosques, the Quwwat-ul-Islam Mosque in Delhi and Dhai Din Ka Chopra in Ajmer. This is the image of ruler Qutbuddin Aibak. Next ruler of the Slave Dynasty was Iltutmish. He ruled from the AD 1210 to the AD 1236. He was also a slave formerly, and later he became the son-in-law of Qutbuddin Aibak, and then this Iltutmish took over the throne of Slave Dynasty. He was given the title of Shamshuddin. He also defeated the ruler Yaldos and occupied the places Lahore and Punjab. He also subdued the Rajput chiefs of Ranthambore, Ajmer and Gwalior, and he brought Bengal and Bihar under his control. So when the time he was trying to consolidate his empire, the Mongolian peoples under the leadership of Genghis Khan, they begin to appear on the borders of India. So he was on a quest of expanding his empire. But at that time, the Mongol people, under the leadership of Genghis Khan, they began to appear on the borders of the India. So what he did, this Iltutmish built a line of forts along the river Ravi to prevent the entry of Mongols into India. So he started the construction of forts all along the border of India over the river Ravi, so that these Mongols couldn't enter the India over the crossing the large walls, large height walls of the forts. This is the image of ruler Iltutmish. Next is Razia Sultana. She ruled from the AD 1236 to AD 1240. So this Iltutmish, he was succeeded by his son, but then his son couldn't prove a effective ruler. So since he was ineffective, within 7 months the throne went to Iltutmish's daughter. She is Razia Sultana. She was a great monarch, wise person and generous. She was the first and last woman who sat on the throne of the Delhi. But the people around, the nobles, couldn't accept a woman as their ruler, and then it led to her downfall. Then came her younger brother Nasiruddin. He was put on the throne, but the real power lay in the hands of his guardian named Ghiyasuddin Balban. She faced many challenges and many oppositions from the group of 40, that is Turkish nobles and also military leaders. So these group of 40 people were Turkish nobles and military leaders. This is the image of Sultana Razia, the daughter of Iltutmish. Next came Ghiyasuddin Balban. He ruled from the AD 1266 to 1286. He was a stern man. He believed in ruling with iron and blood. He protected the empire from the attacks of the Mongolian people, and then he died in 1287. After his death, his grandson took over the throne. He also built a chain of forts to strengthen the northwest frontier. Next came the Khaljis. They ruled from 1219 to 1320. So the Balban's grandson, he was put to death by an official of this Khalji tribe, and his name was Feroz Shah. These Khaljis were mainly of the Afghan origin. First ruler was Jalaluddin Khalji. He ruled from 1290 to 1296 AD. So this Feroz Shah, he took the name of Jalaluddin Khalji, and then on ascending the throne, he was named Jalaluddin Khalji. This Feroz Shah only killed the grandson of Balban. He was 70 years old. He was a benevolent ruler, and then he was killed by his ambitious nephew named Alauddin Khalji. And then this Alauddin Khalji succeeded the throne of Delhi. Alauddin Khalji ruled from 1296 AD to 1360 AD. His ambition was to conquer the world, similarly like Alexander the Great, but he couldn't do that. He was a very cruel and resolute ruler. This is the image of Alauddin Khalji. What were the conquests of Alauddin Khalji? In Gujarat, he secured the services of the Anang slave Malik Kafur. And then this Malik Kafur, he became the general of this Alauddin's army. He also defeated the rulers of Warangal, Dwarasamudra and Mysore from South India. And then Alauddin Khalji, he became the first ruler of Delhi Sultanate to extend the kingdom south of the river Narmada. So up to the south part of the river Narmada, they extended their kingdom. How were the administrative reforms during this Khalji's period? So Alauddin Khalji, he was a good commander and an excellent administrator. The officials were forbidden from collecting taxes from the farmers. These sultans also put a check on the price of these commodities, and then they ensured that the soldiers could live within their income. They totally transformed the markets of the Delhi. They made arrangements so that large quantities of the grain can be stored and can be used when there is shortage. And after the death of Alauddin Khalji, the Malik Kafur placed Alauddin's minor son on the throne and tried to rule in his name. So in 1320, the last Khalji ruler, Khusro Khan was the last Khalji ruler. He was killed by Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq, and then this Tughlaq found the Tughlaq dynasty. Next came the Tughlaqs. They ruled from the AD 1320 to the AD 1399. So they ruled Delhi from this AD 1320 to 1399. Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq was the founder of this Tughlaq dynasty, but later he was followed by his son Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Muhammad bin Tughlaq is the most famous ruler of the Tughlaq dynasty. Muhammad bin Tughlaq, he ruled from the AD 1325 to the AD 1351. He was a good, capable administrator as well as commander and a good scholar. His plans and intentions were good, but he carried them thoughtlessly in a hurry, which resulted in those plans' failure. So Muhammad bin Tughlaq is known as the confused genius in the Indian history. This is the image of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Next, Muhammad bin Tughlaq did shifting of his capital. In the AD 1327, he decided to shift the capital from Delhi to Devagiri, also known as Daulatabad. But this project failed due to two reasons. First thing is, he ordered the entire population of Delhi to shift to Daulatabad. This caused great difficulty to the people. Second reason, because they left the northwest frontiers of the empire exposed to the attacks of this Mongolian people, and then he realized his mistake and shifted the capital back to the Delhi. Then came taxation in Delhi. So this Muhammad bin Tughlaq, he needed money to carry out his various plans. So in order to raise money, he raised the land tax in the fertile Ganga Yamuna Doab and introduced new ones. So then farmers faced lot of misery and then riots broke out. Then came token currency. In the AD 1330s, the Sultan issued token coinage. That means the coins were made up of brass and copper and were stamped with a value equal to that of silver, and then they were circulated. But this experiment ended in a disaster. So this was the token currency. How was the administration during the period of Muhammad bin Tughlaq? He was an excellent administrator. He conquered places such as Warangal, Malabar, Dwarasamudra and also Madurai. But he left out the Hoysalas and made his empire one of the largest ever ruled empire by any Muslim ruler in India. He also opened many hospitals and almshouses, and he gave generously to the Muslim scholars. He didn't allow any religion and administration to mix up. Then how did the empire of Muhammad bin Tughlaq break up? In the AD 1329, the Mongolian people entered deep into the India. The breaking away of Malabar in the AD 1334. This was the beginning of this decline. Rajputs captured Ranthambore, Chittor back, and they established a powerful state in Rajasthan. Muhammad bin Tughlaq died in 1351 while trying to put down the revolt in the Sindh region. How was the administration under the Tughlaqs? So Iltutmish divided the empire into large and small pieces of land known as iktas. So all the officers, religious people, they were not paid a salary. Instead they were given iktas. And these officials or iktidars, they had to pay the king a portion of the revenue they collected from the land. Next, let's see the role of the nobles. So nobles were mostly Turkish and Afghanistan people. They were very powerful, but the strong sultans, they tried always to break the power of the nobles. Then came the invasion of the Timur. So in the AD 1398, during the rule of Muhammad Tughlaq, Delhi Sultanate was attacked by Timur. So Timur was a Central Asian Turkish ruler. He embraced Islam and set up a kingdom in Samarkand. He also ransacked Meerut and Jammu, and then Tughlaq Empire never recovered. Next is the Saids and the Lodhis. They ruled from AD 1414 to AD 1526. The Tughlaq's rule was followed by Saids and the Lodhis. So they ruled for almost a century. Sikandar Lodhi was better known rulers of the Lodhi dynasty, and Ibrahim Lodhi was the last sultan of the Delhi Sultanate. So the noble people, they revolted against this Lodhi rule and they invited Babur, the king of the Kabul, to help them overflow the Ibrahim Lodi. But taking advantage of the situation, the Babur invaded India, and this Babur